Okay, once you pull up a free birth chart online, which you can do on several different websites, you can also do one on my website, so I'll link that below. And you enter in all of your birth data. You should have your chart that looks like this. And then over on this side, you have your rising sign. This is the first house cusp. So for today's episode, we're going to focus on the second house. So counterclockwise, go to that second house. So this is just my software, but see the second house, and the sign that's on the cusp is the one that you'll want to focus on as we go through every zodiac sign. So in this example, it's Scorpio. And then just follow along. We'll have the timestamps down below as well.
Karen, a holistic business coach, helping soul-led entrepreneurs build sustainable success without burnout or the BS.
And I'm Heather, a spiritual life guide, intuitive astrologer, and energy alchemist, here to help you align with your soul path.
Each week, we'll blend grounded strategy with cosmic insight, giving you the tools to grow your business your way. This is Align and Grind.
Let's do it this soul.
Yeah, I've not been the most high energy the last couple of days. Like, I feel like I haven't gotten enough sleep.
Today is weird. Yesterday, I felt a lot more energized. Today has just flown by. I got up early. I've been just sleepy, just weird and weirdly sleepy, a little off. And right before we started to air, I took a half an hour nap in the massage chair. I don't know if it's the weather or what, but it's very strange energy fluctuations. Although we have had really intense solar winds and solar weather, and we have that coronal mass hole on the sun, and it's earth facing right now, which could also, it's interesting because the higher that we have solar winds, or the spike in the solar winds, been causing earthquakes. So
and there's been a few major earthquakes in the last couple of days.
Yeah. So maybe that's part of our Taurus season journey, just to remember to take some naps. We need a little extra. Honestly, I feel like we're getting a lot of downloads right now too. Something's happening.
Yeah. So downloads, I started a podcast.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. When I was like, and you know what? So Tuesday I normally do the live training inside the Facebook group.
Yeah.
And so I was in the middle of doing it, and I'm like, and this is something I think we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about, just with the shift off of these main meta platforms and the bigger platforms that people are having. I think smaller businesses who really have a lot of heart and soul in their business are finding the core values they have and hold have shifted away from the core values of what meta used to be and where it's at now. And so in the middle of the training, I just started talking about, so with all the changes with meta, we're going to take this, off of Facebook, because every 30 days they delete everything. So I'm having to download the video and spend 45 minutes to an hour to create a video to upload it to the replay vault. Mm-hmm. I said, so instead I'm just gonna start a podcast and watch for the announcement, and we're gonna do it over on Spotify.
Oh, that's a good idea. So it's just the voice recording.
But you can, with Spotify, it can be video.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. Because if I'm going to do it on a platform that's going to delete it every 30 days, then I may as well put it on a platform that's not going to delete it.
Yeah.
That reaches a wider audience.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And we've talked about this before, but the social media platforms are changing so much this year, and we know things are going to evolve, and we'll have a lot of new platforms. I'm working on the Neptune app. I'm in the beta phase, but I really do see a huge shift away from Meta. They just had that book come out too. Did you see that?
No.
There's a whistleblower, and she wrote a book. Yeah. So So I'll be curious to see how things evolve on there. It's hard, and I'm sure a lot of people are in this situation. I'm not so much because I've never really been into that, and my business is newer.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people have built huge platforms, like I know you have on Facebook and your
Hmm.
Instagram. So
Yeah.
I think people are slowly pulling away, though.
Yeah. Yeah. They're looking for alternatives, right? That are more in alignment with who they are as individuals, which is why, when we talk about this, you can't separate business and personal.
No.
It's integrated. Like what happens on one side impacts the other. And but yeah, so and that's something that we can talk about because I actually created an intro, a customized intro and song for the podcast, like all
We
last night.
did. Oh, and we could do one for this.
Yeah. And it was like super easy. So I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to tell Heather because I think it'd be fun to try and create one
Yeah.
for this podcast to use. So
Yeah.
everybody stay tuned. So we will have our own theme song, customized theme song, hopefully in the next few weeks.
Oh, that's fun. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the one that we have up right now is a little janky.
Yeah. But it's a
I'm
start.
still,
It's a
I'm still
start.
impressed by it, but
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. So that was like the whole download, like
Mhm.
from yesterday until today that I was like, okay, like then this is what I'm doing, I guess.
Yeah,
And I thought it was going to be super complicated. So for us to get on, like to bring this just not on YouTube, but to put it over on Spotify, it's super simple.
oh, let's do that. That's fun.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so that's what we're going to do too. So stay tuned. We'll be on Spotify too in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
soon. Yeah. So yeah.
Always innovating, changing
Oh,
things up. And that's the year that we're in. It's like you just have to go with the flow.
yeah. Just,
And
and you got to jump on it. I think that's the other thing, and I will talk about it as we kind of get into the topic today and we start going through the different signs and, the different strategies. But it's when the downloads happen, you need to act on it. There's a reason it came through that.
that's like me doing the mediumship readings.
Oh, and how did they go?
It was so good. It was so exciting. I learned a ton. I found that with doing psychic readings, you kind of get in more of a meditative state and really tap into the energy. But
Yeah.
when I do mediumship, I have to like amp up my energy. So I have to like dance before, or listen to
Okay.
songs that I like, and really like elevate my energy, which is good. So I should do mediumship readings every day because afterwards my energy is still like hyped up.
Yeah.
But last week I did 11 in a row and I did them back to back to back. I don't think I'll do that again.
Yeah.
But it was a good learning experience. I had a ton of like evidential, um, or evidence, how they say,
Yeah.
like the people, like one girl, she didn't even know, like what I told her, it didn't make any sense. And she went and asked her mom,
Yeah.
and her mom confirmed it. It was just super obscure. So
Wow.
that was really neat. So it was so much fun and so fulfilling to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And again, like I didn't expect this to be part of my path, but then I did a couple more yesterday. I have 5 more tomorrow. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
So the 11 back to back,
Mhm.
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So you have 5 tomorrow. So do you think, right? Because we always talk about the balance, right? Like how much is too much in one day? How much can you actually? So like tomorrow will be a good test to say like 5, is 5 a comfortable amount, right?
That's
Or
I'm
is
curious, kind of playing with it. And I scheduled them where I had a half an hour in between each one
oh good.
so that I can kind of like reset myself and then
Yeah.
get myself hyped back up again.
Yeah. So did you come up with like a pre and post ritual to kind of set yourself, set your own energies, and then cleanse your own energies afterwards?
Yep,
Oh, good.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did that. But yeah, it's exciting. And that's what I love. And I think that we're kind of learning too. And this is a perfect time to do it, to figure out what we value, what makes
Yeah.
us so Taurus.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. So I'm so excited they went well because now I'll be excited to hear how tomorrow's go and
Yeah.
to see what you felt as a difference. Now, the other thing is, um, I'm wondering with you tapping into, from the astrological perspective, you're going to be able to say, okay, today I actually can't do any
Mhm.
based on what the stars are telling me, right? Or today's a good day that if I need to bulk up and do a lot or only do X number.
Mhm. Yeah, I so agree. I am doing I signed up to do a fair, like a
Oh,
psychic fair, so I'm gonna do some readings there. But I did look at the astrology and it was like it can kind of be hit or miss that day.
yeah.
We'll see. And that'll be another, I'm just experimenting right now. We'll see how
Huh.
that,
Well,
but
that's the best part, right? Like you're taking the leap.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
just venturing out.
So perfect.
Aries is going to earn through initiating by taking risks, by making like bold action. And there's something with Aries that wants to be ahead of the competition, wants to do things before anyone else. The downside is it can lead to burnout
Mhm.
and impulsive spending.
Oh, yeah.
What would you say to someone with an Aries second house?
Yeah. So that is, those are the ones that are like first to market. Like when you think of, so we'll use the iPhones, what was it? The iPads type. I can't remember what they brought out first. Was it the iPod?
iPad.
I think was first.
Yeah.
Right. So we first to market for that. Apple was in a real push because there was other people coming out with similar
Oh, okay.
products. And so they had to be first to market because being first to market on that type of technology is huge, right? Because you end up garnering the majority of the market share just because you're first to market, right? So you're known as the pioneer, you're known as so if your Aries on that, on the second house cusp, then you are those people that are like first to market. So, but most of us small business, like it's hard to be first to market on almost anything these days. Like so much has already been done, with business, products and services. So you're really looking at, we'll kind of do like a short-term and a long-term version of, kind of what we're talking about. So like for Aries, you're looking at like launching a 24-hour promo. So something like a VIP day that's like fast energy.
Mhm.
Um, and then the longer term is more about the micro sprints on a calendar. So planning like a 7-day revenue push and then taking a mandatory rest to prevent your burnout. So you can go all in for like the 7 days, but then you have to pull back.
So that's exciting for someone with Aries in the second house because it gives them that excitement that they need.
Yeah.
How we're doing.
Right. Because then they can build up to it, right? And then do the big push and then take a break, knowing that it's cyclical. So they don't have to worry about they're never going to do it again. It's not like a one and done thing.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So then if you have Taurus on your second house cusp, this is someone who's patient and is going to grow the results over time, use really tangible skills, um, be consistent. And then the shadow side would be like being resistant to change and then maybe holding on too tight. Maybe once something is kind of run its course, feeling like they don't want to give up on something that's not working.
Right. Yeah, they're loyal to the death.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. And that's where, the universe is going to say, put up or shut up kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like you were going to tell you this is when it's done. If you're not going to make the decision, take control, then the universe is going to come in and say, and you're done. And they're going to pluck you out. Something's going to happen where that business relationship ends, whether you're working for somebody and you get fired or you get laid off or something happens where that relationship just ends from a business perspective. But when we're looking at it from kind of revenue, right? Like building your business as a small business owner, if you have Taurus on the cusp, then you're looking at a slow and steady, talking about that. That's like raise your prices, say 5% every quarter.
Okay.
So then it's not like this, oh, I'm going to go all in and then, oh, that backfired. I'm not comfortable with going up by 25% this year. And again, if we look at the current economic state, not just here in the United States, but globally, there's, the discussion of recession and things like that. So then it's like increasing your prices could be difficult for your customers. So if you choose to go 5% every quarter, you're still getting there by the end of the year. It's just slower and it's a little bit steadier and it's more accessible for people who are looking to buy your products or services. Longer term, you're going to want to look at building some sort of subscription with tangible perks, like something where people are going to get something tangibly. So if you're looking at, say, building a subscription, they're getting not just the service on a subscription, but they're also getting something that's like a toolkit or a template. So something that they can take and use themselves. And then it becomes a predictable income. So you yourself as a small business owner is like, okay, so I'm kind of like just going to chill. I got this. It's building. It's slowly but building.
Okay, so then Gemini on the second house cusp, that's definitely someone whose earning potential is tied to multiple streams of income. And this could be someone who earns their income through media, through social media, through using tech, maybe being ahead of those trends, but definitely leaning into those. And, it could be communicating by, teaching. I would say that the shadow side of that could be being too scattered with energy and just trying to juggle too many things and too many projects. So Gemini on the second house cusp, that's someone that will want several streams of income for their highest earning potential, and they could use tech, the latest innovations. This can be writing, speaking, definitely using those social media platforms. The shadow side of this would be having too many projects going at one time. So not really going deep with one thing. It could be just this abundance that they're trying to juggle.
Okay. So then from a business perspective, right, I think you had mentioned earlier, like feeling scattered, possibly too many irons in the fire, right? So short term, business wise, you're going to want to look at bundling something like your paid newsletter with a micro course. So that way they're, as a business owner, you're kind of leveraging what you're already sharing, but it deepens it and adds value to those individuals, right? Long term, you can be looking at something like a quarterly collaboration where you're partnering with somebody to expand your network, where you're tapping into theirs and they're tapping into your network. But you're able to kind of keep things fresh and without really reinventing the wheel.
So if you have Cancer on your second house cusp, security is really key, knowing that you feel secure. And tapping into your emotional intelligence is going to increase your earning power. The shadow side of Cancer would be making fear-based decisions or maybe undercharging.
Okay. So yeah, so the undercharging then is really ties into the confidence, right? So so from a business perspective, then you might be looking at something that's home-based, something that you can tier up. You know what I mean? So you can kind of start here and then add another layer and add another layer. So you're basically, then you start looking at what you're already doing and you can upsell. So from a short-term perspective, where a long-term, it's like making sure you're putting money away for emergencies,
So you don't have to stress about it.
So you're not having to stress about it. So like in the beginning, you're like, okay, how do I kind of, increase my income a little bit quicker? But then long-term, you want to put that nest egg.
Right.
And I hate to say for emergencies, but that's ultimately the language that most people are used to. It's like, put it away for a rainy day. But what you really want to do is you just want to start building so you're not having to stress about the ebb and flow if you're in an ebb.
Leo on the second house cusp. Your creative, I'm sorry, oh my gosh, back that up. Your earning potential is related to how creative and dramatic and performative that you can be. So again, this could go with anything now, like we talk about social media being such a big marketing tool, but I love like the fun videos. I wish I could get to that point. People have like zodiac cats. I don't know why I thought that. You can have more fun and like be a little more creative, and really put on like a show. Definitely taking leadership, being in a leadership role is going to help you earn money. And the shadow side would be having your ego tied too much to your earning potential or your money. But also Leo's very generous, so that could be overgiving as well.
Okay. Yeah. So giving more than what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then looking at it from a business building perspective, and I laugh because when I was kind of putting these together, I'm like going, I don't know where I have in my second house cusp, if it's Leo or not, but basically doing things like getting in the hot seat. So putting yourself out there as a coach and just saying, hey, like ask me anything live, put me to the test, right?
I
And I do that every week in my live trainings. It's like, put me in the hot seat, ask me any question, if it's not relevant to what we're talking about. And that really, if you're able to tap into the confidence, which I know with Leo, that's kind of their, they're kind of the show offy type, that this is something that they thrive on. And so putting yourself out there to say, yeah, okay, ask me anything. I'm live, here I am, however you're able to kind of showcase your expertise is going to be great for the short term because it's like an attraction. Long term, look at hosting some sort of virtual summit or like a gala, or just kind of where you can gather press, where you're able to kind of that bigger influence.
Right.
Yeah.
You brought up something that I like there too, because you said, Leo thrives on that. And this is what's kind of fun is our second house ruler, the sign on our second house, it might not be an energy that we really relate to. And like mine is Capricorn. And I definitely don't relate much to Capricorn. I have no planets in that house. So learning to earn money like a Capricorn is a little challenging, but it's fun when you have this little cheat code. Yours is Sagittarius, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
That's
so
right.
I think it's fun because it's different. It's maybe outside of our comfort zone. So if someone has Virgo on their second house cusp, this would be earning potential through service-oriented work. It's going to be detailed work, having organization and systems in place, probably even with like financial systems and how you track your money and your inflow, outflow, your ROI. The shadow side of Virgo would be, I feel like I've said this a few times, but like, again, overgiving, possibly because they're in like a service-based, like a healing field. And sometimes, like we talked about before, you don't necessarily feel like you should charge for those things if you're helping and healing or working in the spiritual arts.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think, that whole undercharging and overgiving, you'll hear it in business, it's under promise and over deliver.
Yes, I was thinking about that today.
And which is a great concept. So don't get me wrong, it's a great concept to basically under promise, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. But that doesn't mean you have to undercharge your services. You don't have to undervalue yourself. And so I think a lot of small business owners, they hear that sentiment and they're going, oh, okay, then I have to like not charge as much so I can make sure I'm delivering more than what I'm promising.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're misinterpreting that concept instead of like, no, this is about a quality assurance piece. This isn't about how much you're charging. It's
going
quality
above and beyond. Like that little unexpected something.
Right. It doesn't have to be big, just a little, right? So from a business perspective, it's kind of like those, you'll see the template tripwires happening. where you kind of stumble onto something and then it's like, oh, I want that. And then it's like, oh, it's only $5 or $4.99. But then at the end, I'm going to get this extra template for another $5. So now you're kind of in for a penny in for a pound type thing, right? So short, quick income business ideas or stuff like that, where you can kind of quickly upsell from a low ticket item. Longer term, you might want to look into kind of like a like almost like a review. So you are on retainer to come in and do more on a monthly or quarterly basis for people.
And that sounds so organized
Yeah.
and detail oriented.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have Libra on your second house cusp, your earning potential could be tied to the relationships that you have, the partnerships that you develop in your business. It's also art and aesthetics and making sure that it's a very balanced system that you set up. The shadow side of Libra would be indecision. That's my main thing, indecision. People pleasing.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of when you're talking about the connection and, kind of the partnership, doing something that's co-branded. So, and I use us as an example, right? Like doing this podcast together, right? This is like a co-branded effort. It's not just one or the other, right? We're kind of, there's this equality happening. So having that, co-branding opportunity with somebody or another business, then all of a sudden you're expanding that network opportunity, and it can be done rather quickly. It's not something that has to have a lot of thought into it to do like a co-branded training. It can be done quite quickly. Longer term, you might want to look at doing some sort of makeover of something you already have. So take one of your services for either you or I, really, right? And then how can you rebrand it or give it a makeover so it attracts a higher end clientele?
Oh, I like that. Instead of reinventing.
Right. You're just kind of repackaging it. And you see it all the time with the bigger brands of the products, right? Like all of a sudden you walk in and your favorite product is different. And you're like, what? Why? Because they're trying to target a different
True.
person. So
And even that like will sell just how
yeah,
something looks, the packaging.
yeah. And so I'll use so I don't know about your daughter or not, but my kids love the goldfish, the
Yeah.
goldfish piece crackers.
Mhm.
They originally weren't branded for kids.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were branded for adults. And so then they realized it was all about the kids. And that's when they started to shift the marketing messaging towards kids, because parents were buying it for kids, but they were trying to market it to parents, to adults, as an adult snack. That
That's
was
funny.
fun. And then it was like, no, now it's the kids, not the adults. And about, I want to say almost 2 years ago, they considered doing a complete rebrand to then target adults only and not children.
So if you have a Scorpio on your second house cusp, money is tied to how much people can trust you. And it's about being transformative. So not only in your work and what you offer people, but also within yourself and how you can continually like transform, I guess, and then offering that to your customers or as a way to, gain income. And then it could also be by talking about taboo subjects, which is very Scorpio.
Yeah.
The shadow side of Scorpio on the second house cusp would be being too controlling with your money and possibly in any like business partnerships, and then having that scarcity mindset.
As a small business owner, if you're not aware that that could be a potential for you, that it would actually become the mainstream, like your main thought pattern, right? Like you would, because that's the fear, right? So, and fears can become pretty powerful. Yeah. And so, talking about that from a scarcity and that fear perspective, a small business owner, right? It could be something where you're doing, because again, this is about the short-term quickness that, sell a half a day transformation session. So I'm thinking about your business, on myself too, but really with yours, with your mediumship, it's like you could be saying, oh, okay, yeah, you're going to do this, but you know what you really need is a 4-hour in-depth session where we go in and we're going to remove the blockage, but it's a premium because of the intensity of the work that we're going to be doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you
Right.
can definitely do that.
Yeah. And so then the longer term then is more of like selling like a higher end mastermind where it's, like, well, most masterminds are what, like 5-6 people, and it's over time, right? And it's exclusive, and you're going a little bit deeper than a normal, regular group coaching session. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Mhm.
If you have Sagittarius on your second house cusp, your earning potential could be tied to teaching, philosophy, spiritual guidance, travel. It's also valuing that freedom, and then definitely purpose. It has to be very purpose-driven income streams, rather than just having wealth for its own sake. The downside of Sagittarius, because it's ruled by Jupiter, is overspending, overindulging, and chasing too much.
You're speaking, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. Like, because again, like, real life is like I can see exactly what needs to happen. And then it's like, okay, but to do all of this is the cost associated with each and every step.
Right.
And then how do you slow down to make sure that the income is matching the expense so you're not overspending? Or are you overspending up front knowing, because you're trusting the plan, that in the end it will come back and pay for itself? So then it becomes a cost analysis
It's true.
piece of it, right? So then that's where a lot of people, it's like pre-selling courses or programs, like a 4-week program, right? So then, so something that came up when I was working on this was like delivering live from anywhere to test demand. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm doing that right now with the shifting out of Meta and getting onto Spotify
Right?
and kind of leaning into a different platform. So I'm like, okay,
And
but the
seeing the
cost, there's
bigger
no cost
picture.
with that.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not overspending. I'm not, I'm taking from one and putting it into another, right? Where then the longer term package is that digital product, products that you can do, or a travel based workshop, which is something I think you and I talked about it last year. Was it last year? I'm like, yeah, I think I might put together a retreat somewhere. And you were
Oh my
like,
gosh. I have something to tell you at the end here. So
yeah,
that's,
but
I
so
don't
do you
remember you
remember that?
saying.
You're like, wait, oh yeah, sign me up. And I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but I just feel like I need to do a retreat.
Oh my gosh, how funny. I don't remember us having that conversation, but when we're done with this, I have something to tell you.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, and so then I look at it, like what I'm building with the Women's Business Resource Community, that long-term legacy,
Yeah.
right? So from an expansion, the expansion really is just building the membership base, not expanding to set up a physical location here or a physical location there. But it's still expanding globally. Like I want to see a footprint in every country in the world. Like if I really saw my vision come to life, right?
That's so Sagittarius second house. So if you have Capricorn on your second house cusp, this is building wealth through scaling, through long-term discipline by really sticking with it. It's that climb, it's long-term investments. And I've learned, because this is my second house, that your earning potential is only as high as yourself, as how you feel about yourself. Really working on the inner work and valuing yourself can help you create that income stream.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just reflecting back to all of our sessions, right? Like, because short term, we're looking at like what's the strategic plan with your sessions? How can you turn those bigger goals into quarterly
Right.
metrics that you can then, follow and master and improve upon, right? So you're really kind of playing on and leaning into the structure piece.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that it's the mapping.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the longer term is about looking at how are you scaling? Like what are your certification programs? Um, uh, what are your licenses
Oh,
that
yeah.
you can then be looking at possibly from a residual or a longer term wealth perspective?
Okay, if you have Aquarius on your second house cusp, you can earn through technology,
That's a good one.
innovation, technology, or you can see I put those two words
There
together.
you go.
Aquarius, I am. Or any collective movements. Aquarius earning potential and value is in their uniqueness and doing stuff that's like outside the norm.
Yeah.
The shadow would be feeling detached from their values. It could also be like a coldness, especially in relations to offering things to their client, making sure that, they're bringing themselves to the table and not being too detached from the person in front of them.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm sure in a lot of different situations it wouldn't really matter, but depending on what you're doing, you need to bring some warmth with it.
Yeah.
And then rebellion
Mm.
be a shadow. Maybe it's
Okay.
a maybe it's a positive in some cases. I don't know.
Yeah, you're pushing the boundaries, right? Like you're willing to kind of like it's not yeah, like a boundary pusher where you're like, this is the limits that other people have had and societies maybe put in place, but I'm going to push those. I'm
Yeah.
not going to, right? Which kind of really lies in with when you're talking about, you know, building a business is, like kind of like doing a test lab, right? Where you're having to do beta testers, where you're looking at creating a community and you're going to co-create something together,
Mhm.
right? Because then it's the reward is a long-term or a lifetime access to that. And then again, thinking about technology, right? It's that subscription, like a low cost membership that updates monthly, which interestingly enough, that's part of what, yeah, that's part of what I'm doing with the community is kind of like what's that point of entry for people,
Right.
right? That is makes it accessible to the majority, not just the elite few.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So,
the humanity, the yeah.
yeah,
So if you have Pisces on your second house cusp, your earning potential, the first thing I think of is it's tied to how much you can dream in what you want to create or imagine, like how much is in your bank account. So I think a lot of it can come from the spiritual realm in
yeah,
like the manifestation of it.
yeah,
It's also being creative. So your creative work will bring income and intuitively kind of knowing, I think, the right place, the right time, the right offer, uh,
yeah,
because they're just so tapped in. And then the shadows would be confusion, maybe not really facing their finances or, how much they need to earn to pay their bills. Uh,
yeah,
or feeling victimized, like this works for everyone else, but not for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So then it becomes, that humanitarian piece, right? Where you're really kind of tapping into um, the the needs of others. Then it's like, is there a sliding scale you can do? Where all
Mhm.
of a sudden it's like, okay, so X number of people aren't in my niche, aren't in my demographic, but I want to expand. So can I do a sliding scale so I can test the market at that lower price or allow people to pay what they feel? It's, and I've done that in the past where it's like, okay, yeah, you can do this course. And then when you're done the course, you can pay me what you feel you got value out of it.
I like that. I've seen where people have like pay what you can. Another thing that we can do is look at any planets in the second house because that has a major impact, and we won't get into all of those. But if you're more advanced in astrology or want to study it, any planets in your second house will have a big influence on your money, your resources, and values. And then the ruling planet of the zodiac sign on your second house cusp. So,
Oh,
for example, I have Capricorn on my second house cusp. It is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is in my chart, it's in the ninth house.
okay.
And the ninth house is related to spirituality. So this is, I can use that, what we discussed with Capricorn, like building over time, scaling, and like feeling worthy of making money in relation to spiritual teaching.
Mhm.
It's education and getting the
Yeah.
education, but also teaching. And then it could be travel as well. But for me, I know it's teaching
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah.
sharing information. Or it could be publishing, sorry, ninth house as well. So
Yeah.
there's a lot to it, and I'll put it in the notes. So if people want to look into it, they can, but
Okay,
it's
awesome.
just adds kind of more to this. So
Yeah.
yours is you have Sagittarius on your second house cusp.
Yeah.
Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. You have Jupiter in your 12th house. So
Okay.
that's tied to earning potential through retreats.
Oh.
Funny, right? It's retreats. It's also, I tell
Uh,
you all the time, I'm jealous. And it's by Venus. So I'm just feeling like women, like retreats for women.
yeah.
How funny. But
Mhm.
also windfalls and inheritance and miraculous ways money just flows to you. So shut up. The other things that you can look at is any aspects to the planets in your second house and also any transiting planets in your second house. So that's more advanced, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So it's worth a session then.
It so is worth a session. We can really get into this. No, let's pull a card. You good for this? Okay.
Mhm.
Singing and dancing.
Oh,
Express yourself and awaken your psychic senses through the magical power of music and movement. But I am feeling like this is just raising our vibrations, getting more of that energy back. We talked about that earlier. How I have
yeah.
to turn on music to raise my vibration. I think that we need that.
Yeah.
I like that one.
More dancing.
Singing and dancing.